Okay, so let's unpack one of the most incredible, just bizarre, and frankly shocking claims I think has ever made its way onto official U.S. government letterhead.
Right.
We are diving deep into a document that sounds like pure science fiction, but it's sitting right there in the CIA archives.
It really is the ultimate piece of post-Soviet folklore. It's, one part alien encounter, one part tragedy, and one part, well, bureaucratic accident,
Yeah.
all preserved in the most unexpected way.
The centerpiece of this deep dive is CIA document 00055517761.
Yep.
And this file supposedly summarizes a massive 250-page KGB report that was obtained right after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991.
And the story it tells, the core narrative is just wild. A clash between Soviet soldiers and aliens in Siberia that resulted in 23 troops being instantly and quite literally petrified into stone.
That phrase, instantly petrified into stone, that is the hook. It's such a chilling, spectacular image.
It is. So our mission today is really twofold. First, we have to walk through the bizarre narrative the document presents because it's just too strange not to.
Of course.
And then, maybe more importantly, we have to trace the true origin of this claim. We need to explore exactly why a story this fantastical ended up in a CIA file in the first place.
It's a perfect case study in how information, especially, sensational information, gets laundered and validated during a time of immense geopolitical chaos.
Exactly.
So let's start with the spectacle. The Siberian Incident, as it's often called, this allegedly took place sometime around 1989 or 1990. We're talking about a unit of 25 Soviet troops on routine training drills.
And the location is fuzzy, which is a classic tell for this kind of story. It's either deep in Siberia or sometimes it's reported as being near present-day Ukraine.
Right.
But the initial sighting is, it's pure classic UFO lore. The soldiers spotted a low-flying, saucer-shaped craft.
And the report stresses it was completely silent.
Completely silent. Which, demonstrated flight characteristics totally different from any known Soviet or NATO aircraft.
And these weren't just some random people. They were military personnel over restricted airspace. So what was their immediate trained response?
Well, according to the account, one of the troops did exactly what he was trained to do. He launched a surface-to-air missile, a SAM.
And he hit it.
Successfully struck the object, yeah. Brought it crashing down not too far away from their unit.
A direct hit, so that instantly escalates things from a simple sighting to, well, an act of war.
And what allegedly followed was this swift, brutal retaliation. The document claims that 5 short humanoids emerged from the wreckage.
How are they described? Anything specific?
They align perfectly with the gray archetype that was so popular in that era. Short stature, large heads, and those disproportionately large black eyes.
But they didn't come out firing lasers or anything like that.
No, and that's crucial. The method of engagement here is what makes the story so incredibly strange. The report states these 5 beings quickly regrouped and, get this, they merged into a single, cohesive, spherical, glowing object.
They merged together.
Into a ball of light, essentially. It sounds like something straight out of a classic B-movie special effects sequence.
Wow.
The sphere began emitting a sharp buzzing and hissing sound before becoming intensely brilliant white. And then it unleashed this blinding flare, a burst of light.
And that flash was the weapon. The soldiers who were directly looking at it, they were just, instantaneously transformed?
They became what the report chillingly describes as stone poles. 23 casualties in the blink of an eye.
23 out of 25.
An almost unbelievable survivability rate. Just 2 troops survived the encounter.
And why did they survive?
The explanation given is that they were shielded by a nearby structure, or maybe just in shade. It protected them from the full force of the flash.
Which strongly suggests some kind of directed energy weapon, probably electromagnetic, where simple cover was the only defense.
Exactly. So after the incident, the KGB, ever secretive, reportedly moved in with extreme speed. They transported the petrified remains and the wrecked spacecraft to a secret facility near Moscow for deep analysis.
And this is where the story pivots from a military skirmish to a truly fantastic molecular mystery.
Right. Because according to the summary of this KGB file, Soviet scientists were able to analyze the remains. They determined that the soldiers' living cells, the organic matter, had been fundamentally altered.
Altered how?
Their molecular structures now completely resembled limestone, specifically calcium carbonate.
Just think about that for a moment. Instant transformation of all organic tissue proteins, water, DNA, everything into inorganic rock.
I know, it's like trying to instantly turn a steak into a statue of marble. The physics, the chemistry required to pull that off, it's immense.
It has to be. Natural petrification is a geological process. It takes, what, thousands, millions of years?
Right, and it requires specific conditions, usually involving silica or other minerals over all that time. For that to happen instantaneously at a cellular level, converting carbon and hydrogen into a mineral lattice, it just utterly defies all known chemistry, biology, and physics.
The sheer energy needed would be staggering. You'd think it would have incinerated the entire landscape.
Which the report doesn't mention at all.
And yet, Soviet scientists, according to this report, they concluded the energy source was beyond the comprehension of existing science.
And unknown to Earthlings. I mean, those specific phrases are certainly good fodder for a document meant to intimidate.
And it worked. The file attributes a quote to a CIA agent or representative that just captures that Cold War panic perfectly.
Oh yeah, what was it?
If the KGB file corresponds to reality, this is an extremely menacing case. The aliens possess such weapons and technology that go beyond all our assumptions.
That quote is critical because it shows the real fear this narrative generated when intelligence circles first saw it.
So we have this detailed, gruesome account complete with molecular analysis and intelligence fear sitting right there in the CIA archives. Which brings us to the core mystery for you, the listener. How did the CIA get this information, and how seriously did they actually take it?
This is where we leave the world of sci-fi and we enter the messy reality of 1990s bureaucracy. The answer is right there in the designation of document 0055517761.
It's absolutely critical to understand that this is not an original CIA intelligence assessment.
No, not at all. Nor is it raw KGB data.
It's categorized as UNCLS unclassified, and it's a product of the Foreign Broadcast Information Service, the FBIS.
And the FBIS was the CIA's open source intelligence component. Think of them as this massive news clipping service for the Cold War. Their job was pretty straightforward.
Monitor, translate, and just pump out information from all foreign media.
Exactly. Radio, newspapers, TV, especially as the former Soviet bloc disintegrated and information started flowing freely, if chaotically.
So the FBIS was archiving what the world was reporting, not necessarily what was true. They were just tracking rumors, official releases, everything in between.
Which leads to the big question. What was the source chain for this particular story?
It's a phenomenal example of information laundering.
It really is. We can trace it step by step. The CIA's FBIS bureau in Kyiv translated a story that appeared in a Ukrainian newspaper called Ternopil Vecherny.
And then that story was reprinted in the official parliamentary publication, Holos Ukraini.
Right, which likely gave it that veneer of authority. You know, that's what probably triggered the FBIS to even translate and archive it.
Okay, so the official Ukrainian press picked it up. But where did the Ukrainian press get this incredibly detailed account of petrified soldiers and calcium carbonate?
Here is the big aha moment for you. The Ukrainian paper, Ternopil Vecherny, it explicitly cited its ultimate source.
Which was?
The authoritative magazine Canadian Weekly World News.
Stop. The Weekly World News.
Precisely, yeah. For anyone unfamiliar with the 1990s print culture, this was the supermarket tabloid. It was notorious.
Famous for publishing completely fictional headlines right next to the gum and candy bars.
This isn't a respected scientific journal. We're talking about the publication famous for headlines like Bat Boy Found in Cave.
And Hillary Clinton adopts alien baby.
That's the one. That's the level of credibility we're dealing with. The original 250-page KGB dossier, that was almost certainly just a narrative device, a bit of color created by the tabloid writer to lend weight to their story.
So the story starts in a fictional tabloid, gets reprinted as genuine news, maybe unintentionally, in that chaotic post-Soviet environment.
Gets picked up by an official publication and then is just routinely archived by the CIA as open source intelligence.
And that's the key takeaway here.
Yeah.
The document's presence in the CIA's public reading room is just a record of what was being reported in foreign media. It's not an endorsement by the CIA.
Not at all.
But that structural reality is amazing. It does raise a deeper question, though. Why did the CIA even care enough to archive this kind of chatter? If they knew the source was unreliable, why track tabloid fiction?
Well, for that, you have to zoom out and look at the whole historical context of the Cold War. The intelligence community, especially the CIA, has a long history of monitoring these phenomena.
Not because they believed in aliens, though.
No, not really. It was because they feared human intentions.
The Soviets.
The Soviets, exactly. The CIA's interest in UFOs was substantial early on, like late 40s, early 50s. Their main concern wasn't little green men. It was that these sightings might actually be secret Soviet weapons.
For psychological warfare, something to create mass hysteria or overload our air warning systems.
You got it. So anything unexplained that the Soviets might be leveraging had to be tracked. That's why you had projects like Cyan, Jigarji, and, of course, Project Bluey Book.
They were national security projects, not alien hunting expeditions.
Right. And ironically, the U.S. government often fueled the very conspiracy theories they were trying to debunk.
Also,
Well, when high-altitude surveillance planes like the U-2 and later the AUKUS cart were flying in the 50s and 60s, they caused genuine sightings of unexplained phenomena.
because no one had ever seen anything fly that high or that fast before.
Exactly. And to protect the secrecy of these multi-billion-dollar programs, the Air Force often made intentionally deceptive statements to the public. They lied, but for reasons totally unrelated to aliens.
Which just added immense fuel to the public's later belief in a cover-up.
So when this Stone Soldier story appears in 1993, coming out of the former KGB's world, it lands squarely in this context of government monitoring and public skepticism. It's exactly the kind of rumor an FBIS analyst would feel compelled to log.
Right. And even today, experienced analysts are, let's say, highly skeptical of the claim itself.
Oh, extremely. Former CIA officer Mike Baker, for instance, he's openly expressed strong doubts that aliens landed decades ago turned Soviet soldiers into limestone. He says that while unexplained aerial phenomena are worthy of investigation, this particular claim, it just stretches credulity past the breaking point.
He suggests the whole story is probably the result of what he called the iteration effect.
Precisely. If there was a genuine, conventional military incident, maybe a training accident or some engagement that got covered up, Baker believes the actual facts would be unrecognizable after 5 or 6 or 7 iterations of retelling.
Especially once a tabloid gets a hold of it looking for a dramatic scoop. The original event just gets lost in the noise.
Totally lost.
So, for you, the listener, this is really the core conflict we've analyzed today. Are we looking at a horrific picture of extraterrestrial revenge? Or are we holding a truly bizarre cultural artifact from the post-Soviet information vacuum?
It's definitively the latter. I mean, the scientific claims about instantaneous molecular conversion into calcium carbonate, they defy everything we know about physics and biology.
The whole KGB dossier is almost certainly a literary flourish invented by a tabloid editor.
Oh, absolutely. The report's value is purely as a study of how information, even complete fiction, can gain traction and get officially archived under the right geopolitical conditions.
It's a phenomenal example of how easy it is to confuse an intelligence agency's record-keeping with an intelligence agency's actual assessment.
The CIA recorded the rumor. They did not endorse the physics.
And yet, the narrative persists. The story of advanced alien tech retaliating violently against military defense systems. Become this really sticky, persistent contemporary legend.
It has.
It makes you wonder why these specific stories endure. When you strip away the sci-fi details, this is basically a modern, technologized version of the ancient Medusa myth.
That's a great point. Soldiers are turned into immobile, lifeless stone pillars after looking upon a terrifying entity.
Is it the story?
Exactly. We see this technologizing of ancient primal fears. So ask yourself this. Why do stories that replace a magical curse with an energy source unknown to Earthlings, especially when that narrative gains the implied but false authority of official government documentation, why do they gain such powerful, enduring traction?
What does that impulse to believe reveal, fundamentally, about the public's relationship with information, with secrecy, and with power?
That, in itself, is a fascinating and ongoing deep dive.
A compelling thought to leave you with. That was the deep dive. We'll see you next time.